There is absolutely nothing sweet about honey. Hello everyone, I'm author R.L. Raintree. This is Reels and Reads, where I give honest reviews and occasional spoilers. Today I'm reviewing Honey by Imani Thompson. I first heard about this book back in March when I first launched my YouTube channel. I mean, I've had this YouTube account for a few years, but this is the first time I actually posted, which was around the time that this book and Eric LaRocca's Wretch came out. I have done a review on that book. As more time goes by, I tend to like that book a little bit more, but my rating on Wretch still stands. But I was also told about this book. Now, the thing I heard about this one is that it was a debut author, for one, black author, so I was definitely locked in for that. That's for two. And that it was horror. That the basic premise of this novel is a woman in academia begins murdering men. It's got a feminist twist to it. So, black woman, debut novel, murder, and feminism. I was locked in, and I didn't have much to tag, and that should tell you something about what I thought of this book. So really quick, the premise of it is we have a woman named Yrsa. It might be pronounced Yrsa. I don't know, but it's Yrsa. And this is all in England, by the way. And she is a professor, but she's also a PhD student. So she's there teaching and learning all at the same time. And she's dealing with some of the same things that we Black American women deal with. It's a little bit different for them there. They have, different history, different country, different stories, amongst their race relations, but still pretty much familiar. So she has to contend with that. She has to contend with her family, who is from the Caribbean but moved to England. And her family is on the whole, when are you going to find a man? When are you going to settle down type thing? And her prospects ain't good. One of the things I noticed is that all of the men in this novel are white or non-black. I know that much, unless I missed something, and that's possible. I do have ADHD, but from the best of my recollection, she wasn't dating black men, and that stood out to me. I also noticed that it was the same black female, I won't say rage because that's a stereotype, but I can't think of another term. So the same black female rage that we all feel. You go out on a date and someone pushes the boundaries of your consent. You go out on a date and you find out after the fact that there was literally a scoring system. Black girls are worth more if you can bag a black girl. So it was very disappointing to find that black women in England are experiencing the same thing, but at the same time, it definitely wasn't surprising. Now, one of the criticisms about this novel is that it wasn't very clear what was the catalyst that made her decide to start killing. That is not a spoiler, by the way. I would have said spoiler alert. Yrsa is killing people. We know this from the synopsis of the novel. But we don't have a concrete reason for why she does this. She doesn't come off as a sociopath, a psychopath, antisocial, or anything like that. But she just starts doing it out of nowhere. And the lead into it doesn't allow us to make the assumption that this is the reason. We have a character who, and this might be a light spoiler, but honestly, you never hear about this part of the story later on, so I'm not going to really count it as a spoiler. There is a character who was basically, and I won't say taken advantage of as in SA, but taken advantage of as in power dynamic. They have different terms for what we have here, so I'm going to use American terms. You basically have the mentor that helps you with your PhD, and you're writing your dissertation and everything. Well, he took advantage of her by basically stealing her work, and of course sleeping with her during the whole time. I love you. I'm going to leave my wife for you. You know what I'm talking about. And being naive, or perhaps just wishful thinking that things would be different for her than they are for every other woman who's heard that lie. She falls for it, and it's a big thing. It's a big thing. Now, as a person reading this novel, my thought would be expose him, let's take him down, sabotage the work he gave him. Like, there's a bevy of things that we could have come up with to deal with that situation, and then out of the blue, this man just turns up dead, and that's our first murder. Well, technically not, but you get it. And so it was kind of like, was that bad enough to kill over? Not really. No, not really. Funny enough, I am not a fan of academia. I think it's because I really hated my time in college and high school. I love to learn, but I hated school in all of its levels. So I'm not a fan of academia. I feel like I've been transported back in time. Like maybe there's some unhealed trauma there I need to deal with. But I'm reading for fun when it comes to fiction, and I don't want to go back to school in any capacity. Not in a fantasy world, not in a romance world, not in thriller world. I don't like academia. And I did read some of the reviews on this, because this book has been out, like I said, for a few months, and people were kind of annoyed with the heavy-handedness of the academia. That being said, that was one of the things I loved most about this book. My favorite scenes took place on the college campus. It was very familiar to me without it being too educational. There was so much material there that would justify her just getting fed up and deciding as a feminist, she's just going to start bumping men off because at this point they're just defective Y chromosomes. So there was so much fruitful, just creative work happening right there that I think should have been focused on more and capitalized on more to tell the story. Instead, what we got was a woman who was being shown quite in depth with great detail in academia, and then we'd go back home with her family where there were quite a few family members, and there was clearly more going on than what we were being told. There was a lot of inferences going on, and now I'm trying to keep up with those characters as well. I'm trying to keep up with the dynamics of what's going on at home, and then we're back into academia, and then we're on a date, and then someone's dead, and then we're back. That really kind of bothered me more than anything. There was too much going on in the book. The thing that people complained about the most for me was the thing that I should have been focused on. It's clear that majority of this book is set in academia, and I feel like if they had stayed there, it would have been a better justification for her murdering people. I mean, I don't think there was a single redeemable man at that university, and I feel like that's where it should have stayed, especially when we're talking about feminism. Most people who consider feminism have at least been to college, or at least some college. Not saying that all feminists are, but it feels like it belongs more so in that setting than any other setting. I didn't see the need to have the scenes with her and her family because it didn't give me any insights who she was. It didn't give me any insight into why she was killing. It didn't give me any insight into really any part of this book. If we completely eliminate the family chapters, this book moves a lot faster and it's that more engaging. Speaking of engaging, I love the way she wrote the love scenes. I'm a smut author, as you all know, so I really did like the way she worded certain things, how some things she was explicit, but most things she was not. It was not closed door, but it was worded in such a way that I get it. I can pause for a moment and picture it, but it wasn't in a way that was smutty, but detailed enough to where it was on that borderline. It was the perfect way to write every love scene, especially when you consider that some of these love scenes would be the last breath that the man was going to take. So I loved everything about the way she wrote them, not because they were sexy or spicy. I hate when people use the word spicy for love scenes, but because it's sinister. The detail is erotic, yes, but it's also quite sinister because you know what she's about to do to this man. The other thing I really needed from this novel was more detail when it came to the crimes themselves. I'm not talking about, torture porn or murder porn, but if this is the type of novel that is centered on suspense, mystery, thriller, murder, then you kind of have to give me that. Too many of the murders, let's say there were, I don't remember how many, let's say there were 5. I got 1, maybe 2 that were fully detailed so that we could know just how terrifying it was for these people who died. And then the rest, it was kind of like, okay, it's implied that she did it. And we're not very clear as to why each victim was chosen. I can make an educated guess. I mean, I can use my critical reasoning to figure out why certain people were being killed, especially as we get closer to the end, as she gets a little sloppy. But I needed it a little more spelled out. Perhaps that's just me, but I needed the reason for killing those specific people, and I needed to see the actual murders because we've had all this buildup, we've had all this foreplay, literally and figuratively, to this particular murder, and then we don't get the prestige, we don't get to see it happening, we don't get to know that man's final moments. And if the motivation for killing these men is your feminism, your female rage, then I want to see the female rage. We need the release. No pun intended. So as I said before, there weren't very many pages that I annotated, but I did want to point out the pages that I did because that's the moment that I realized I was actually going to enjoy this novel. But again, it slowed down a little too much for me because there was far too much going on, but I'll circle back to that. The first thing that I want to point out for me is this conversation with this man who is finally confessing. He was a fling she had when she first started school, what we call freshmen. I think they called it freshers. So it was a freshman year of school, college that is. And apparently there was this whole numbers thing. We've all heard about things like this. This stuff never stops happening. And black girls the code for them was black girl magic. And it was the most points. It was 20 points. And so here was this person thinking she had this, not necessarily love, but this carnal attraction to each other. It's just, that's their thing, you know? They don't want more than what they have. They enjoy their time together. They have sex and they move on. That's perfectly fine. But to find out after all these years, thinking that this was just a carnal attraction type thing, that you were a part of a point system, and then you add to the fact that these are white men doing this to black women, the disgustingness of playing with people's minds, playing with people's hearts, that right there is where I first got the inkling of, oh, she's gonna pop off. Like, this is gonna be really freaking good. But then it stalled. Now, when she first starts killing in this novel, there's this suggestion that it's justified, even though murder is never technically justified. There's a suggestion that it is, because we get to see how shitty these men are before they meet their demise. But there is a moment where I begin to realize you can't stop. Something has switched in your brain. There's some sort of medical diagnosis possibly for you, maybe not, because you physically cannot stop yourself. And this is the last page before chapter 6, the last page of chapter 5. She says, "The days turn to weeks and no one asks any more questions. People stop talking, caring, and her body becomes flooded with motion. To kill and get away with it, there's something spectacular to it." I was like, girl, maybe that's why we didn't get a justification for why she kept killing these men. Maybe that's why we didn't get any detail to a lot of the murders, because baby girl was just, she wasn't well. We do get plenty of insight into how she thinks, and no, she's not okay. And then my last tab was on page 108 with this guy who was so repulsive I could smell him through the pages. When I say strawberry nutrition shake, when you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The guy who drinks the shake in her bed, I'm sorry, I had a moment there. He just disgusted me through and through. I couldn't, Anyways, he immediately kills the mood. Not that she necessarily wanted to lay there and marinate with him post-coital pleasure, but he starts this impromptu debate with her that because she likes being choked, that she couldn't possibly be a feminist. All you feminists act like you're feminist and this is how you feel, but deep down inside you want to be dominated by a man. And it's like, first of all, you didn't even ask her for permission to choke her. Let's start there. And so she's like letting him know what's going on, and I'm like, my God, you might want to pipe down. She's got bodies on her, and I don't mean sex partners, but she has that too, but that's not, you might want to pipe down. She kept responding to him in such a way that was very intellectual, and that I just really appreciated. It was intelligent for a thriller. It was intelligent for this novel. It was an excellent first attempt by an author. But again, even though I don't like academia, that's where she should have stayed focused. Academia, the dates, and the murders. Everything else should have been stripped from this novel. And that takes me to the rating. I gave this novel 3 stars because of what I've been repeating here. There was just too much going on. There was too much to focus on. There were far too many characters that we didn't get a conclusion with. So there, as a reader, an editor, a critic, I was literally taking my pencil and crossing out people's names in the book that we didn't need. I actually had to keep a notepad to keep track of who's who. Now, I'm not talking about people who normally do this. That's different. I actually had to do it just to keep up with what I was reading. I was losing track of who was who and who they were to her, what they were doing, and that got very frustrating, and that made me feel like I was back in college. But I needed her to eliminate 90% of those characters. I needed her to eliminate all the chapters with her family. I needed it to be everything that happens in the college and university, and I needed her to finish storylines. Like, there's a man, well, I guess you can call him a man, he's late teens. He challenges her in the classroom and then gets bitter about, basically not being as intelligent as the professor, who literally knows more than you, and decides to file a complaint. And so for her, dealing with him, I wanted a conclusion to that. It was very lackluster. She tried to make it a thread that strung along, but it didn't work. The thread broke. So there were storylines happening in academia space that needed to be picked up and carried. Those threads needed to make it to the end, or at least into the end of that story. Instead, we had to keep bouncing back to her friends, bouncing back to her family, bouncing into other characters that were brand new. We were getting new characters as late as the middle of the third act. And that's just too much going on for a person to focus. That being said, I do definitely recommend it for anyone who likes thrillers, feminist novels, and people who are into academia. If you've already read Honey and you're looking for something short, quick, and easy to read, I have an entire line of Zodiac novelettes. If you are a Cancer, because we are in Cancer season at the time that I'm recording this video, I have a short novelette that you're going to like that's focused on a Cancer woman, and that's called Love's Radiance. So feel free to head over to Amazon, my website, give it a read. It's only about 75 pages. You'll be done in about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. But it is a detective noir story. Yes, there is smut in it. And I think you guys are really going to like it. If you like thrillers, suspense, murder mysteries, you guys are really going to enjoy this. Don't forget to leave a review to let me know what you think. And as always, thank you for watching Rules and Reads. And I am author R.L. Raintree. I hope to see you guys next time.